Good afternoon. Some breaking news here coming out of Edmonton. The Edmonton Oilers will not be traveling to Vancouver today, so they will not be playing against the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow night. Now, this all comes after JT Miller had a really interesting media availability yesterday. We'll go a little bit more into that in a couple of minutes, but first, I just sort of wanted to take you through the events of today at least. Early this morning at about like 5:30 or something this morning, Elliot Friedman was saying that the Canucks are going through a physical and an EKG today. So depending on the outcome of the test, the game might not happen. And then a couple hours later, John Shannon put out that basically confirming that the league might change the games again based on those medical evaluations. And then at about 9 a.m. this morning, Canucks PR put out a tweet saying, hey, this practice is no longer open to the media. So they changed that. And this caused some questions, right? It was like, well, are the players too sluggish and it's going to be really clear that they're not ready to play? Is the NHL basically just trying to hide some stuff here? And then Matt Sakaris, I think, also put out a good point saying it looks like the NHL is probably just micromanaging this after JT Miller's media availability yesterday, and potentially could buy Travis Green some more time if he's not feeling 100%, so he doesn't have to be sort of out there front and center. And then right at about noon, we got the tweet from Jason Gregor saying from a source in Edmonton that they won't be flying to Vancouver, so no game tomorrow. Now, in my mind, this is good, but it does raise some questions. Obviously, this Canucks team isn't ready. One practice after taking 3 weeks off, having one practice and then having to play back-to-back nights, 22 hours apart, a game at 6 p.m. and then a game at 4 p.m. the next night against Edmonton and Toronto is insane. That's not enough time to be prepared. So that's the call that is being made, and it is the right one. Now, none of this might have happened if it weren't for JT Miller stepping forward and saying basically all the right things yesterday in his media availability. I have some of his quotes here. His main one was, I don't feel ready at all. And he didn't have COVID, right? He was one of the guys who consistently tested negative, but 3 weeks without skating and then going right into game action, having to play 19 games in 31 days. That's tough. And then he said, I haven't really thought about hockey much, but it's kind of crazy. I know everyone has a job to do, but to expect our entire team to be ready to play in one practice and a pregame skate is a bit hard to comprehend. Now, he's choosing his words pretty carefully here, but when he's saying but to expect our entire team to be ready to play, and it's a bit hard to comprehend. Pretty decent shots sort of fired at the NHL there. And then he says, it's frustrating. We try to talk about our number one priority being the players' health and their family safety, and it's impossible to achieve that with what we're being asked to do. This is 100% right. And the big concern here, when we're talking about health, there's two things to talk about. One is COVID recovery, right? Some of these players might not be 100% recovered, even though they might be testing negative, and they might just not be in good game shape and feeling sick. But the other thing is things like soft tissue injuries. If you don't skate for 3 weeks and then you get one practice and then you're expected to go full bore the next 2 nights and basically get no rest for the remainder of the season, 19 games in 31 days, how are people's knees going to hold up and things like that, right? Like to be expected to give 100% of your effort, it's so dangerous. And then he says, this has nothing to do with hockey. To be brutally honest, we're going to need more time than this to come back and play hockey. Even the guys that didn't get it aren't ready. I hope people don't take this the wrong way. I'm a super competitive guy, but this isn't about hockey for our team. This is about the health and safety of our players, their family, and their children. It's not about making the playoffs. It's dangerous to a lot of our players. Again, 100% correct. And the fact that JT Miller came out and did like a 20-minute media availability, he could have come out and said, look, it's the hand we're dealt to us. We're going to go out. We're going to play hard on Friday. He could have said that, but instead he said what everyone in the room was feeling. A real leader moment from JT Miller here, to come out and be at least a little bit vulnerable and come out and say, I'm not ready. We aren't ready, right? Most hockey players put on a brave face and they say, you know what, we're going to battle. Even if we're not 100%, we're going to go out there and give it our all. It is refreshing to see someone come out and say, we don't have it in us. This is dangerous. It's unhealthy. And for a league to say we're prioritizing the health of our players and their families and then to flip around and make us play 19 games in 31 days after battling a debilitating virus that affects your respiratory system and can give you immense fatigue for weeks. It just doesn't add up, right? And I said this on Canucks After Dark on Monday night on my show with Canuck Clay every Monday. I said it's a clear financial move from the NHL, right? They're thinking, all right, how can we fit all of these games in? Well, we can only extend it by a couple more days. I guess we're gonna have to play 19 games in 31 days. There's nothing healthy about that. That's just them trying to fulfill their broadcast arrangements with places like Sportsnet and TSN. Basically saying, you know what, we told them they were going to get 56 games. We have to give them 56 games. And terrible look, in my opinion, from the NHL. I am so happy that JT Miller spoke out. Sorry about these notification noises you guys are getting. But I'm happy that JT Miller spoke out. It's a super power move from JT Miller, and I have a ton of respect for it. So what does this mean? Canucks won't play Friday night. We haven't heard anything about the remainder of the games. The Canucks are also scheduled to play Saturday at 4 p.m. against Toronto, and then Monday against Toronto as well. Now, Hockey Night in Canada is a bigger one for the NHL and for Sportsnet. Canceling a Friday night game is one thing, but canceling... I mean, the idea is Hockey Night in Canada, there's supposed to be the game at 4 p.m. and then the game at 7 p.m. and the Canucks and Maple Leafs, a huge ratings draw, as basically most Canucks fans, most Leafs fans, and a bunch of other people in Canada are tuned in for these games. That's 3 hours of programming that they're just not going to have. So the NHL, I think, will be very hesitant to push this Saturday game. They might flip around and say, look, you guys can have another practice tomorrow on Friday, get a little bit more into it, just feel a bit better, and hopefully by Saturday you guys are ready to go. And I think, again, it's not enough time. Maybe they push that game to Sunday or something like that. They go like Sunday, Monday against the Maple Leafs, and then move the Friday game against the Oilers to basically the end of the season or somewhere like that. Either way, it's tricky. They won't want to push the Saturday game, but I think they might be forced to. And then, yeah, what does that mean, right? Are we keeping the same amount of games but lessening the amount of days, right? Does the NHL basically say, all right, we basically gave you 2 more days. We still have to fill the games in, though, so now you have 19 games in 29 days or 28 days. And then we get to the point where it's literally like 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off for the remainder of the season, which is insanity. I think we're at the point where, look, the NHL needs to either commit to making the regular season take until the end of May, if they truly care about player health, or they need to just say, all right, the Canucks aren't playing 56 games this season. But to basically say, look, this is your hard deadline and you have to play all 56 games by this date, and to not be willing to make some sort of financial sacrifice to make that happen, it's just hypocritical from the NHL, and it's not a good look. Anyways, we'll hear more about the Leafs game on Saturday. John Shannon just tweeted out as of 12:23 p.m. The Maple Leafs are still hoping to fly to Vancouver tomorrow for Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday. So we'll see what that looks like. Stay tuned. I'll have more information as it comes out, hopefully. I was planning on doing a stream during tomorrow night's game. If there is no game, I probably will stream anyways. So if you guys want to come hang out, then we can do that. Again, big ups to JT Miller. Really happy with his leadership and speaking out on behalf of his team. If you guys have any comments, leave them below. Leave a like, hit subscribe, and go watch Canucks After Dark on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on the YouTube channel. Anyways, that's all I've got. I'll see you later.